Special thanks to our promotional partners at the American Philatelic Society.
The APS is the largest stamp collecting organization in the world, supporting collectors of any level worldwide.
For more information about membership and APS services, visit stamps.org.
I'm Charles Epting from HR Harmer in New York City.
I'm Michael Cortese of Noble Spirit in Pittsfield, New Hampshire.
And this is Conversations with Philatelists. Now, Michael, today's episode is about something really exciting going on in the hobby. Why don't you tell us what we're going to be discussing today?
Yeah, so today we're talking about the Philatelic Traders Society that put on Stampex every year, twice a year, and virtual Stampex, and are going to be putting on the next virtual Stampex as well. They've decided to come out with awards for outstanding philatelists in the hobby.
This is like the Academy Awards of Philately.
Yeah. In
all
I was just going to say that the virtual event will be a black tie only.
And stamp collectors will not follow the dress code. This is something that's really exciting, though. And it's one of those ideas that when you hear it, you think, why wasn't this already a thing? Which I think is a good compliment for an idea when you're like, why haven't we been doing this already?
Yeah.
So, Michael, who are we going to be talking to about the awards today?
So we're talking to Marcus Orsi. He's a PTS Counsel member and the Chief Philatelist at David Feldman after joining there in 1981.
That's fantastic. I think it's exciting. We've spoken to so many people from the PTS between Isabel and Suzanne and now Marcus. This is fun to get a lot of different perspectives. So let's bring him on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say about the awards because we've only got a small briefing on what this is about, and we're going
this
to
is
be
a
learning
learning
with everybody else.
for us.
Yeah,
absolutely. So let's bring him on.
Here we go. Hi, how are you doing?
Good, great.
Thanks for taking the time out to do this with us.
No problem. So I'm calling from Ireland.
Oh wow.
What part of Ireland?
So the north actually, a place called Dundrum, which is on the coast, about an hour south of Belfast and about an hour and a half north of Dublin.
My girlfriend is from Bangor in County Down.
Oh, well,
So
I'm in Dundrum, County Down, so you can tell her. She'll know it.
I'll text her as soon as we're done. I've spent a bit of time in the Belfast Bangor area, and I took a trip up the Antrim coast, and I've been out to Newton Ards Peninsula, and I like that area very much.
Well, we're in a place called Dundrum, which is at the foot of the Mourne Mountains.
Which is somewhere she's told me is beautiful, and one of these visits when I go see her, I'm going to have to explain. No, she says it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I know it is.
So we can jump right into stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. So you're here to talk about the PTS awards that you're putting together with the other council members?
That's right, yes.
So this is a new thing, starting right after Virtual Stampex Live happened. Can you talk a little bit about the idea for it, how it came together, and how it's working?
Maybe back up a little bit and just say that the PTS Council in the last 3 or 4 years. I've only joined in the last sort of 2 years. But in the last 3 or 4 years has been headed up by these two wonderful ladies, Isabel, who you know, and Suzanne. And not wanting to denigrate philatelists and stamp dealers, but we're kind of stuck in the mud, we are sometimes, and we need a bit of a shake-up. And these two ladies have done a fantastic job, and they've got a group of council members who are, they're not crusty old stamp dealers, but we do need a shake-up. And I joined mainly because I'm a little bit different. I'm a little bit, maybe, as we say in baseball, a bit the left field. So I like to get things going. So the virtual Stampex, I think, has been the catalyst for all of us to realize, let's think out of the box. Let's think about what we've got to do to take philately to another level, And the reality is the virtual world, it's not everything. It's not the only thing, but it's certainly something where we are at the moment. It's certainly something that needs much more attention. So I think that's been really exciting. And because of all that innovation, we're thinking, well, what can we do to encourage the dealers involved in Stampex, the dealers who are members of the PTS? What can we do to take them to the next level? And that's how the awards idea was born. We thought, well, what can we do to, let's say, encourage the young and up and coming dealer who might be innovative with ideas, but also to find ways to celebrate some of the, the stalwarts of our business, the people who've been there for 25, 30, sometimes 40, 50 years. How can we celebrate what they've brought to the industry? And that was the idea behind the awards.
Mm-hmm. So here there's 4 awards. There's the Ambassador of the Year, Legacy Champion of the Year, PTS Contributor of the Year, and Creative Concept of the Year. Yes. Can you talk a little bit about what those are and who applies?
So the Ambassador of the Year is to celebrate those who are actively promoting the trade and the hobby in creative ways. That's the Ambassador of the Year. The Legacy Champion of the Year is to celebrate those who are actively investing in knowledge sharing for the future. And then the PTS Contributor of the Year is to celebrate those who are actively contributing to the success of the PTS. And then probably the most exciting one is the one that is the Creative Concept of the Year, to celebrate the best innovations within philately. Mm-hmm. So that sort of gives you a bit of
absolutely.
So far as I know, and I haven't been in the hobby all that long, admittedly, but at least I can't remember anything like this having been tried before. Do you know if this is a, sort of new uncharted territory? Because I can't think of any sort of.
I think on this kind of scale, no, this is new. This is unique, and I think obviously in different shows. I mean, I've been to shows all over the world in my career, whether it was U.S. national shows or international shows. My first one was in the U.S. anyway. Was in '86, Chicago, and I think they did have, in some shows they would have awards, say for the best stand or the best booth. Those kinds of things have been done, but that's about it. Nothing on this kind of scale. And I think it in a way we don't really celebrate the successes, or think of dealers who I know, who I've met, some of them who have died, and they did incredible things, but it was just something that was kind of normal. We just accepted that's the way it was, and we didn't really celebrate it. Whereas here, there's a real opportunity. Now you were asking about who can apply. Well, basically, PTS members. There's one. The Legacy Champion of the Year, we have decided that non-PTS members can enter. So, but for the most part, it's PTS members. Yeah.
And do people enter themselves, or are they nominated by other people? How does that work?
They can enter themselves, and also be nominated.
Fair.
Obviously, it's nice to be nominated.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. You've been in the auction business for quite a while, and we spoke to a gentleman named Bill Bergstrom a couple of weeks ago where he talked about changes that he's seen in the auction world. How has your experience working in auctions and seeing things change over the last couple of decades, how has that influenced you when you talk about the board coming together over the last couple of years and trying, and especially in the last year in particular, coming up with new ideas and new ways to promote the hobby? How have the changes you've seen in the auction business influenced your thinking as a PTS board member?
Well, starting off, I mean, we all start off, I mean, I started off as a collector. So I'll give you a bit of a background. I started off as a collector. I still am a collector. I guess the thing that I've seen in the last, say, 20 years. So I've been in the business 40 years. So the last 20 years, the not to spin something negative, but there's a slowly collectors are dying out. Slowly we're seeing less and less new collectors coming on board. And that's been a trend for the last 20 years. However, with a lot of collectors resisted the internet. I mean, a lot of collectors. My company in London 2000, so that's 20 years ago, we launched the first live internet auction. So we were our company was the first company to have live bidding. So that was the start. So I've always been involved in a company that's been innovative. And the reality is there was a lot of resistance. And I think there still is resistance. But now, like with everything, there's so much traction now with live bidding. We had our auction today. We had a sale of Persia. There was 50, 60 people logged on. Because of the pandemic, there was 2 people in the room. But it didn't matter. The sale
I'm sure the bidding was just as strong as if the room had been packed.
Right. So I think the challenge, and this is what the PTS, because we're basically dealers, the challenge has always been, how do we marry the dealer and the collector? There's always been a bit of a divide. The collector doesn't really want to let the dealer into his world. He sort of looks upon the dealer, with a little bit of suspicion. Well, the PTS, because of the virtual Stampex being a great example, because we want to show collectors and give collectors the opportunity to engage in the technological changes that are happening, purely because we don't want them left behind. We really don't want them sitting on. We want them engaged in it. So I don't know if does that sort of.
No, yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited at all the opportunities that the awards will bring. It looks like it's not looks like Stampex, Spring Stampex has definitely been cancelled. So we're back on for another virtual Stampex, which is going to be better, So I think all this is and of course, now that, coming back to your question, what have I seen? What are the changes in the business? I'm seeing more people coming into the business, more collectors. We are getting, perhaps, I talked to my guys, my tech guys, but we're getting between 50 and 100 new clients every auction.
Wow.
Which is huge.
Fantastic. Absolutely.
That's massive.
Now, they may not be new collectors. Mm-hmm. They're new to us, purely because the World Wide Web is just getting bigger, and we're able to bring more people in. So, sorry.
When you talk about virtual Stampex, one of the things that I believe you were involved in was the Museum of Philately. Is that correct?
Yes.
And can you talk a little bit about that project and how maybe that will? It was great this time, but how that might even grow in the future.
Well, this is a pet love of mine, but it needs huge resources. That's the big challenge. The principle behind it is, I mean, you can see from behind me, you can see bookshelves, and that's my philatelic library, right? And that's what all stamp people have. They have libraries. But, you got, what age are you guys?
I'm 30.
Okay.
27.
Okay. So, yes. So you're the ages of my kids, right? And, you guys are not thinking libraries. You're thinking about, how do I access the data quickly? Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, it's nice to have a book. and I'm not saying you're not bibliophiles, but it's nice to be able to access the stuff on your laptop or on your tablet or whatever. And the reality is, the idea of the museum is to digitalize collections, stamp collections, not in a kind of boring fashion, which has been done and is being done, is where you just take a PDF and you dump it onto a site and people just flick through it. It has to be interactive, and we're not there yet, but interactive in the sense it's you've got your standards collection, and with the collection there are rarities within that collection. So those rarities will have provenances. So the provenances will take you to famous collectors. The rarities will take you to the results of those great rarities in auctions. Yeah. It'll take you to listings of similar great rarities. The collection itself has history, so it'll take you to historical events. So in a way, it's like an octopus. So many different tentacles coming off in different areas. The main aim is to promote philately, not just to us, but to the newbie, the guy who comes in. The guy comes in who doesn't really know, and he wants to know a bit about our hobby. Where do you go to find out that? There isn't really anywhere. You go to a stamp exhibition, you walk in the door, and if you don't know anything about it, how do you know what's going on? So I want this also as an introduction to what is stamp collecting. So the concept is there, and of course the dream, and I'm working on that at the moment. The dream would be to create a real virtual experience, so where you can actually walk into a real live virtual museum.
Yeah.
Not static, but more interactive. And of course now, because of COVID and because of the fact that we're all sitting around not sure what we're going to do, people are thinking about these things.
Yeah.
We can't go to museums now, right? Museums are closed. So what do? We create a virtual experience for people to go and enjoy them. So I believe this is huge possibilities, and it's not a marketing thing for my auction house. That's not what it is. And I want to put that out there immediately. It's to promote philately. It's to promote expertise. One of the big issues in our hobby is expertise. People don't know they don't know their way around expertise. This is going to debunk expertise. Who are the experts? What do they do? What is a forgery? What's a genuine stamp? Why do we need certificates? Can you trust every certificate? I mean, really give the collector all of that information. And then also have connections with the various different expertising bodies, and of course what you guys are doing is fantastic, because you're actually making it all live, and that's what we want. We want to interview.
We're trying to breathe some life into it.
Yeah.
Yes. This is fantastic.
Oh,
absolutely brilliant. And I would love to interview collectors and have that as part of the museum. Why do you collect Afghanistan, or why do you collect Euro issues stamps, or whatever it might be? And the stories are always amazing.
Yeah, that sounds like an incredible initiative, and it's not too far off, which is so exciting.
No, and I mean, as I said, it's the resources. I've just taken on a guy recently, a guy called Devlin Crook, and Devlin's a great writer, and he's adding that writing aspect to it. And I've got another lady I'm working with who's got the design. She's from an architectural background. She's got the design concept for this experience that we want to create, and really make it something. Because in a way, let's be honest, if you don't do it really, really well, it just, I don't know if you know the expression naff. Do you know that expression? Something that's naff. It's not, kitschy. It's not quite there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want anything naff. You want something that really zings. And I know those things are expensive, and we don't have huge resources, but it's becoming possible today. It's really becoming possible. So yeah, that's the Museum of Philately.
And then getting back to the awards really quick. One thought I had is, obviously, right, there's no spring Stampex, unfortunately. Right now, we're all hunkered down. We're all waiting this thing out.
Yeah.
Where do you see the awards going once we do get to meet face to face again? Do you think this is a concept that will, become a virtual / in-person event in the future? Could you see there being an awards dinner for the PTS Awards at Stampex some year? How does this idea that is born out of the virtual, sort of transcend and evolve into the physical?
Well, again, I'd like to back up a bit and say that, and I hope I'm not talking out of turn, and Suzanne and Isabel don't wrap my knuckles. But my sense is going forward, my passion would be that, for example, say Stampex autumn 2021, God willing, it's gonna happen. So say autumn 2021, I talked to Isabel the other day, and she was kind of wondering, I would love to see a physical exhibition with a virtual alongside, so that you don't lose, because the whole idea of virtual, especially to people who wouldn't normally take a booth at Stampex, people can take a booth, but they just don't physically have to be there. So what I'm trying to say is, it's not one or the other.
We shouldn't lose the momentum we've been building these last couple of months.
No. I mean, it's not one or the other, it's both. So that's for starters. And yes, I mean, obviously, dinners, I think, this is just the beginning. We could have, an international aspect. We could have a foreign language aspect, because of course our hobby is basically monolingual. I mean, it's basically an English speaking hobby. So much is done through the English language. However, we got dealers from all over the world. You go to Japan, their command of the English language isn't so great, but they're passionate collectors out in Japan. Some of the greatest, Kanai and Ishikawa. These were two great names.
Absolutely.
One with the U.S. and one with the Mauritius. So but they didn't have great. I don't know about Ishikawa. Maybe he did speak a bit of English, but Kanai wasn't so great. So in a sense, there's a lot of other. This is just the beginning. I think this is just the beginning. So yeah, if that answers your question, definitely dinners, grow it, because the thing is, what is attracting young people, young stamp dealers to the hobby, and that's it. If it's a crusty old group of people, young people are not going to be attracted. Whereas if something is attractive, we're going to bring in new blood, and that's what we do need, definitely. I'm 57, right? And for you guys that's old, but I'm actually young. I've been in the business 40 years, and people still say to me, "Oh, you're only 57." That's because everybody else is just getting older and older and older. So I still consider myself young. I consider myself a younger member of my hobby. Yeah. And yet I've been in the business 40 years. But we need young blood. We need, guys like you guys. I've got a guy working for me called Ricky, and he's your age, and he's fantastic. He was a physics major in, I think, Newcastle University or somewhere up there, anyway, in England. And he was always a stamp collector, and I plucked him out of that and brought him to Geneva, and he's one of my key guys. But it's great to have young people in the business.
That's great. So going back to these awards specifically, it's so exciting to hear what the future holds, and that you're continuing or thinking about continuing the awards past this, the virtual aspect of it. So It's the 30th today. The nominations end tomorrow. And correct?
Well, from what I got from Isabel this morning, it was the deadline was the 27th. So
of December?
Of November.
Oh, okay. All right.
So they have already passed.
Okay.
And the judging will take place from the 1st of December, and then the announcements will be around the 16th, middle of December.
Great.
Well,
And
maybe once the cat is out of the bag with the announcements, we can talk to you again about how. Again, I'm sure there's a lot of tough discussions and confidential information, but maybe we can circle back around afterwards and touch base on how it went, and maybe even get one of the winners on with us as well.
Yeah,
that'd be excellent.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm happy to do that. Yeah. Or you can liaise with Isabel. Maybe she'll see this interview and she'll hate it. So then she'll fire me. No. I mean, I'm willing to do it, but Isabel, I'm sure will probably manage that.
Yeah.
No, that would be great.
Well, thank you so much, and I'd love to have you on again to talk about your story and David Feldman and everything that you've done for Philately in the past 4 years.
Yeah, no problem. Just
let's do a fuller episode about your career. We'd love that.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I really would. Great.
I'll reach out to you soon. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Michael. Thanks, Charles.
Pleasure meeting you virtually.
Yeah.
Take care. All right.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I would like for them to make a special podcast category for the next PTS Awards. That's my only suggestion to Marcus and the rest of the PTS team.
Yeah.
Is a fifth category on podcasts. But as far as what they already have, I think it sounds fantastic.
It really does. It sounds like they're covering as broad of a field as they can for both dealers and collectors and combining them together. It sounds great. It really does.
The only other thing I want is when we do go back to in-person shows, I want acceptance speeches.
Yeah.
And I want somebody to cut them off with music if they go on too long. Because we all know that's the best part of the Oscars.
I mean, it's a timeless hobby, so I really feel like we should get the big Bo Peep hook
and scoop them off. Interview people about what they're wearing to the no. In all seriousness, I'm only joking because I like this idea so much, and I think this is long overdue. And I'm really excited to see who was nominated and to see who eventually wins. And by next year, maybe toss some names into the hat myself. There's people I would love to see recognized in this way, and I think it's really important.
Yeah, I'm excited we got to talk to him about it, and we got to cover this. It would have been amazing to cover it before the nominations closed, but the fact that people can now pay attention, they know to pay attention on December 16th, when the judges announce their the winners for the awards. I mean, I'm excited, and I'm excited.
Me too, and yes, I agree. In the future, let's do an episode leading into the nominations. But I think this is uncharted territory for all of us, and I think that's why it's exciting that we're even talking about it at all. The fact that it exists is a big deal to me. I'm super looking forward to an awards ceremony at the PTS. It's because when I went to my first stamp show in Milwaukee in 2013, I thought one of the most exciting aspects, it's all exciting, but one of the most exciting aspects was the awards they handed out at dinner for the exhibits. And for people who don't necessarily, I remember the one thing that caught my attention was they had a big inverted Jenny blanket, like a throw blanket. And I remember coming back from the show and being like, I want one of those. That sounds incredible. That looks. Have you started exhibiting in order to earn your throw blanket?
I haven't. I've been waiting for someone to come up with awards that I can win where I don't have to exhibit, and they're here. And now
this is your shot.
This is it. So I'm excited for these awards.
Let's circle back around afterwards and maybe go over the list of winners.
Yes. Yeah.
And until then, thank you for listening. We are on all the podcast services.
Podcast.
We've got an email. We've got a website. You've heard me say them enough. I don't have to say them again.
We'll put them in the link below.
We'll put them in the link. I'm not even. Yeah.
In the bio.
You know who we are.
Yeah, and thank you for knowing who we are.
Who thought this podcast would lead to an ego trip? No, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to talk to Marcus. I can't wait to talk to Marcus again about himself. And in the meantime, we are Conversations with Philatelists. I'm Charles Epstein. You're Michael Cortese. We are on philatelypodcast.com, philatelypodcast@gmail.com. And we thank you for listening, as always.
And Chris Green on Monday.
Chris Green on Monday.
Thursday.
Very, very. That was a fun episode to record. Michael, this is great. We'll chat again real soon.
All right. See you then.